They had planned it carefully. Too carefully for something they later tried to call just a joke. It started in the customer service break room 3 days earlier, where the hum of vending machines and the smell of burnt coffee wrapped around whispered cruelty. Mira sat at the corner table, laptop open, answering after-hours emails in 3 languages while the others scrolled through their phones. She really thinks she's special, Tanya muttered, not quietly enough. Always smiling, always so inspiring. The word was dipped in acid. Mira pretended not to hear. She had learned that skill long ago, how to let words pass through her without cutting too deep. After the accident at 14, after months in hospitals and the slow, brutal understanding that her legs would never respond again, she had developed armor. Soft on the outside, steel underneath. That day, she was wearing a pale lavender sweater and had her dark curls pulled back with a silver clip. She looked peaceful. That irritated them more. Did you know the CEO is back from Zurich this week? Another coworker whispered. Tanya's eyes lit up. Alexander Vale. Yes. Big charity gala this weekend. He'll be in and out of the office. A slow smile spread across Tanya's face. You know what would be hilarious? They leaned closer. Let's give Mira her fairy tale. They created the fake email that evening. A nearly identical domain to the executive assistant's address. A fabricated dinner reservation in the executive dining suite. They even mocked up a polite message. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Vale was impressed by your volunteer profile and would be honored to host you for a private dinner this Friday at 6:30 p.m. They showed it to her the next morning. Myra's eyes widened as she read it. She laughed at first. Stop. This isn't funny. It's not a joke, Tanya insisted, shoving the phone closer. Check the sender. Check the reservation. Why would we lie? Myra's heart began to beat faster. Why would they? She had written a short bio months ago for the company's internal volunteer program. Mentioned her linguistics degree, her interest in international outreach. It had felt like shouting into a void. Now it felt like someone had heard. You should go, another coworker said, her voice honeyed. Wear something nice. Mira had gone home that evening in a daze. Her apartment was small but sunlit, filled with books stacked in uneven towers. She wheeled herself to her closet and stared at her dresses. She hadn't been on a date in almost 2 years. Not because she didn't want to, but because too often, curiosity disguised itself as affection. She chose a navy dress. Simple, elegant. She pressed it twice. On Friday evening, as the company van dropped her in front of the Ardent Holdings tower, her hands trembled against the wheels of her chair. The building rose above her, all glass and silver, reflecting a sky turning peach and gold. Inside, the lobby was vast and gleaming. Conversations bounced lightly off marble floors. People moved with the confidence of those who believed they belonged. Mira inhaled slowly and rolled forward. I'm here to see Mr. Vale, she said to the receptionist. He's expecting me. The receptionist's perfectly shaped brows pulled together. Your name? Mira Hassan. Fingers paused over the keyboard. I don't see. The private elevator behind them chimed softly. Conversations faded mid-sentence. Alexander Vale stepped out. He was taller than she expected. Not just physically, but in presence. His dark suit was immaculately tailored, but there was nothing flashy about him. His expression was focused, almost stern, as he reviewed something on his tablet while walking. He sensed the shift in energy before he saw her. His gaze lifted. He noticed the receptionist's confusion. The employees pretending not to stare. And at the center of it all, a young woman in a wheelchair holding herself with quiet dignity. He approached. Is there a problem? He asked. Sir, the receptionist said carefully, this woman says she has a dinner appointment with you. He turned his attention fully to Mira. There was no pity in his gaze. Only assessment. I don't recall scheduling one, he said evenly. Myra's stomach dropped. The world seemed to tilt. She could feel eyes on her. Feel the heat crawling up her neck. I have the confirmation, she managed, holding out her phone. He took it. Behind a large marble column near the entrance, Tanya and her friends crouched slightly, barely containing their laughter, phones raised to record. Alexander scanned the email. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The domain name was wrong by 1 letter. The reservation link was fabricated. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes cooled. He handed the phone back gently. You were misled, he said. The words were simple, controlled. Mira swallowed. I'm sorry. I must have. You have nothing to apologize for. The firmness in his tone startled her. He turned slowly, scanning the lobby. He had built this company from scratch after clawing his way out of a scholarship program where he was constantly reminded he didn't belong. He knew the smell of humiliation. It lingered the same way everywhere. His gaze locked onto Tanya. You, he said. Her smile froze. Step forward. The entire lobby seemed to hold its breath. I was just. She began. Did you create a fraudulent email using my name? He asked. Silence. Security, he said calmly, without raising his voice. 2 guards approached immediately. It was a joke, Tanya cried, panic cracking her composure. We didn't think she'd actually find dignity in believing she was valued. Alexander interrupted. Yes, that is the risk of cruelty. Sometimes the target still has hope. Mira stared at him, stunned. Security escorted the 3 women toward the exit as their protests dissolved into quiet sobbing. Alexander turned back to Mira. The hardness drained from his features. I do not have a blind date scheduled tonight, he said. But I am free. Her breath caught. If you would still care to join me for dinner, he continued, it would be my honor. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. You don't have to do that, she whispered. I know, he replied. That's why I am. A slow, fragile smile touched her lips. He gestured toward the private elevator. Shall we? As the doors closed behind them, sealing them away from the lobby and the stunned witnesses below, Mira exhaled for what felt like the first time in minutes. Inside the elevator, it was quiet. Are you angry? She asked softly. Yes, he answered honestly. But not at you. She studied his reflection in the mirrored wall. Why step in? She asked. Because I remember what it feels like, he said. The elevator doors opened onto the executive floor. The dining suite overlooked the entire city. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed a skyline drenched in twilight blues and scattered lights. A table had been set quickly by discreet staff, white linen, candlelight, crystal glasses. Mira hesitated at the threshold. This is, she breathed. Just dinner, he said gently. He made sure there was ample space around the table before sitting across from her. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he asked, what did you study? Linguistics, she replied. I wanted to work in international diplomacy before the accident. And after. I still do, she said with a faint smile. Just in different ways. He leaned forward slightly. You speak 3 languages fluently. 4, she corrected shyly. Arabic, English, French, and conversational German. His brows lifted. Why are you in customer service? She gave a small shrug. It was the position available. That cannot be the only reason. No one imagined me anywhere else, she said simply. The honesty landed heavily between them. Dinner was served. Seared salmon, roasted vegetables, warm bread. She barely noticed the food at first. I read your performance reports while you were freshening up, he admitted. Her eyes widened. You did. You resolve complaints 37% faster than the departmental average. And customer satisfaction ratings mention your name repeatedly. She blinked, stunned. No one had ever quoted her metrics to her before. You treat each case like a puzzle, he continued. Why? Because behind every complaint is a human being who feels unheard, she said. If you solve the system, you solve the pain. He studied her carefully. Would you consider transferring to our Global Outreach Division? He asked. She froze. That team handles international partnerships, multilingual communication, and community relations. We need someone who understands nuance. You've known me less than 2 hours, she whispered. I have seen how you handled humiliation, he replied. That tells me more than a resume. Her eyes shimmered. Is this pity? She asked carefully. If it were pity, he said, his voice steady, I would have offered you a gift basket and a public apology. I am offering you responsibility. The distinction was clear. She looked down at her hands, then back up at him. I would accept, she said, her voice trembling. If it's real. It is. Emotion broke through her composure. Tears slipped down her cheeks, quiet and unrestrained. He didn't look away, didn't rush her. Outside the windows, the city pulsed with light. Do you know what hurts most about things like today? She asked after a moment. What? Not that they think I'm less, she said. But that they think I don't notice. He nodded slowly. You noticed. I always notice. Silence settled between them. Not awkward, but understanding. When dinner ended, he stood and moved beside her wheelchair. Would you like to see the rooftop garden? He asked. She smiled through tear-bright eyes. Yes. The rooftop air was cool and crisp. The city stretched endlessly around them. Small lanterns lined the garden paths, casting soft golden light. She tilted her head back, breathing it in. I almost didn't come tonight, she admitted. I'm glad you did, he said. So am I. Down in the lobby, employees were still whispering about what they had witnessed. Not a spectacle of humiliation, but a quiet reversal of it. On the rooftop, beneath an open sky, Mira felt something shift. Not rescue, not charity, recognition. And as Alexander stood beside her, not above, not ahead, but beside, she realized the cruel joke meant to break her had instead opened a door no one could close. For the first time in a long while, the future did not feel like something she had to fight alone to reach.